King Tut, an unusual father. Of all pharaohs who ruled Egypt, Tut's father was beyond among the strangers. First of all, there was the way he looked. Amenhotep's was oddly shaped. It was very long and narrow, and his hips were very large for a man. Was rare disease caused? Some of historians think so. In spite of his looks, Amenhotep is a very beautiful queen. Two museums in Cairo and one in Berlin was bust her. Her name was Nefertiti. Although not the royal birth, Nefertiti looked every inch a queen. Nefertiti became the pharaoh's head wife. Women in ancient Egypt did not have the same rights as men. For example, they did not attend school, but Nefertiti was a powerful woman. She was an important advisor to her husband. She backed him up and he decided to make changes, big changes. What kinds of changes a man tips make? For one thing, he decided to change a religion. For hundred of years, the people of Egypt prayed to many gods and goddesses. Some looked like people, some looked like animals, some looked animal head and a human body. There were Thoth, the gods of the moon. Anubis was a god of Demeter's. Isis was a god of protect children. In all, there were about 1,000 different gods. Some of only local gods, but important gods had a great temple devoted to them. People could visit the temples and pray for God's help. Common people, however, were not allowed inside. The most important god was Amun Ra, god of the sun. He appeared of human form. Every day he rode his chariot across the sky. Amenhotep, however, decided away with the gods or goddess from land on there was going the only god. This god was also the god of the sun, but he did not appear in human form like Amun Ra. Instead, he has a disk of sun. Sun rays up from it and at end it reaches with was each ray was a hand. The hand were sign of the gods was watching over the people of Egypt. The god's name was Aten Ra. The pharaoh believed that Aten Ra he was the Aten Ra's messenger of earth. The only way the people could reach the god was through him. Amenhotep got rid of all priests who served other gods. Money from their temples now went to Aten Ra. Amenhotep changed his name to Akhenaten. His new name was man servant of Aten. Nefertiti changed his name too. This name meant fair is the goddess of Aten. The royal family moved from city Thebes to the new capital was built. It was called Amarna. There was a there was Tut spent his childhood. He grew up in learning new beliefs. A city of Amarna spread in 8 miles on either side of Nile. Here again, Amenhotep something did something different. Usually, the land of West River was the dead were buried. Why? Because the sun sets in west evening. Just in sunset brings the end of the day. That brings the end to the life. So the dead were buried to western lands, but Imhotep decided the aspect of the new city, and the ceremony to build east of a river. The west side of Amarna was the people lived, and the homes built and palaces built and new temples was all to Aten Ra. People before his temple had long halls and led in the dark inner rooms. There was where the priests would pray. The new temples to Aten Ra were open air buildings and let in divine light of sun. The pharaoh also wanted to change the style of paintings. Not style and many rules for artists to follow. A person was always shown from the side. A head of always shown profile, and his eyes look like straight from the viewer. A person's face is always look young and perfect. No wrinkles or gray hair. Both shoulders and faces from front and torso shown in profile. One leg was always placed indirectly in front of other. Their paintings are very beautiful, but the people never look natural or dimen- dimensional. Why with many rules for artists, the ancient Egypt believes that a painting of a dead person could become live, so it needed included different parts of the body. An arm and a leg couldn't be left out. A person would want to look the way she did when young and healthy, not when old or sick. But a mental tip decided to change the rules. He wanted to portray that he really looked, the long head and narrow eyes. He also wanted to paint for the scene were more natural, not formal. One painting that shows an mantelpiece and his eyes frontally three of their six little daughters. Never before have anything of this have been shown. The changes, however, did not last. There was a stop of an amount of the deaths. It was a pharaoh for about 16 years. The new city, Amarna, was deserted, and all the old costumes were brought back. It must have been a very confusing time of the whole country, and people were getting used to the changes. They were told to forget them. Even Tut as already being grown men, it have been a difficult time to become pharaoh.